Illuvium Showcase is here. Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to see you. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. We are doing behind-the-scenes looks at Illuvium, the best game studio in the world, in my personal opinion. My name is Andrew Wall, host and executive producer here at Illuvium, and we are going to do some surprise live demos from two fantastic guests on the show today. You've never seen any of this before, maybe a little bit of it, but not really. In today's episode, we are going to cover new things from Grant and Dimitri. We'll bring them in a moment. As a friendly reminder, nothing we're talking about on the show today is financial advice or any sort of advice at all, unless you want advice on how to make things look incredible from a creative and art standpoint. Let's bring in our esteemed guests on the show. Basically, these guys have touched so much of the creative and artistic. If you like the way Illuvium looks and feels from aesthetic, from a branding standpoint, from a creative standpoint, these are the two guys that have made it happen. Let's bring in Dimitri and Grant, the creative geniuses, or some of the creative geniuses behind Illuvium. Guys, welcome back to Illuvium Showcase.
It's difficult to put it on today, I tell you.
Your alarm went off 5 times, I think you said, in order to wake up for the show at ridiculous o'clock. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm like sleeping right behind me there. So
he literally rolled out of bed, got on his computer, and goes, "All right, boys, let's do this."
Literally. Yeah. Girlfriend's in the other room, just going like, "Are you coming back?" And I'm like, "Nope." It's over. It's
Freaks in the house. Perfect. Calling you the dynamic duo. We hear you, community. So today, Grant and Dimitri told me that they wanted to do a demo with you today. Rather than just showing off leaks that maybe you've already seen on our Discord server, they want to show you some live footage and live demo of them actually building stuff that you're going to experience as a gamer playing Illuvium games. And Dimitri, do you want to start with what you're working on and show off the screen share that you've got going here?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Basically, I guess let's just recover of what we're doing because not many of the people have seen it. We started doing this in the CC streaming in our Discord, but this will be our let me just change the.
just some subcontext here. The reason why we're doing this is because obviously Showcase has been delayed, and it's like, why has Showcase been delayed? And like, people in the community should know that like we've been around for a long time. Like, when we're kind of delaying things like leaking and showcases are being pushed around, it usually follows a release very shortly after. So I figured, why not just show people why we're delaying showcases and stuff. This is what we're working on. So
makes sense.
Yeah, we're getting to the final spots where start doing some of the fine art prints, and to use in different UI, different elements here and there. So this will be one of those that we're gonna start showcasing today. So we started doing this in our Discord, as I said earlier, but like your homepage art hasn't changed for a while, so we're thinking now it's time to update. And in this case, we're gonna change the ranger because you're not gonna be able to play with the island anymore, and we're gonna introduce a new Illuvials that's gonna be available for this new upcoming beta.
Exactly. So this is going to be, just to correct me if I'm wrong here, this is going to be the home screen that everyone will experience when they play beta PvP or an upcoming beta, and everyone will see what you're building right now.
Well, this is basically the first screen that you're gonna see like launching the game. You're gonna log in, and this artwork will be there.
But also, we need to. So the reason why we're doing this is because this last 2 weeks we've been going through doing reviews of the build that's going out for PvP, and like things like Florian hasn't bothered us with like requesting custom artwork for things like the home screen. So what happens is you end up with the login button, if you go back to showing that mock-up, see the Illuvium login page there, right? Like, you don't want, like, from a UI perspective and a graphic design perspective, you don't want artwork intersecting that login box. You want to make sure that that is free and it doesn't have trees intersecting it or like umber behind intersecting it. You just want it to be like on its own. So the mock-up that was done there with, like, you know, the koala and the emberlinks and the snake is designed to like show us what we're doing on this artwork. And in the background there was what Florian was testing from the old trailer release artwork, which was just mocked together in 2D. So the idea is in that Discord stream we showed how we get started on this stuff. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to really showcase how the work we've done is interoperable. And like I've said it a million times, the assets we made were designed to be used not just in the game, but also for promo material in different games or for any other purpose we wanted, a film or anything like that. So the quality had to be the same. So we are currently building this scene out on the battle board. So like if you cut to my stream, I've loaded up Unreal Engine and we can preview like where the latest battle board is at that you will be using in PvP. Yeah, which I think is looking great.
Excuse the frame rate, guys. We're sharing this over a call program,
Yeah.
But you'll get the gist here. So
yeah. It looks like the quality's good though.
No, the image quality is great. Just the frame rates with internet sharing is rough, yeah. But it looks really crispy to me.
Okay, so like if we don't move, for example, and we just keep it steady, but yeah, like the team's done an amazing job. Like Emil and Vanya and Martian and you know the entire environment team helping to set dress this stuff. They've done an amazing job getting this polished. We're super excited about this release. Internally, there's a huge amount of hype around, and like one of the reasons for the lack of leaks also is that all of the department heads and leads basically are kind of the same opinion of like, surely at some point we don't leak everything, because this release, anyone will be able to download it and play it, and we want to kind of create some sense of hype so that when you do go in and play the game, you haven't seen every single thing on these showcases. Like at some point you've got to realize that like this project isn't about leaking stuff, it's about experiencing the game itself. So very, very exciting times. But like this region has come so far, like the amount of details we've gone in and added, yeah, it's crazy.
It is. So just to clarify, the battle board that you were looking at there, is that the battle board look that people will be experiencing in PvP? Yeah. Is that correct? Did I mishear you?
I mean, the lighting can change. Like we're trying to figure out, so now we're in the final part of the process where lighting can't be over the top in a way where it's hard to distinguish the characters or see things like synergies and the VFX on the board, you know. And obviously in the middle of the daytime that completely changes how like a really bright luminescent VFX will appear versus at night with like zero light on the board. But at the same time you want to try and get that nice painterly artistic feeling where the environment looks good, but the Illuvials are easily readable too. So like, you know, maybe like this super, super low sunset look and feel, you know, which I think looks cool. But yeah, we're just playing with that now. But in terms of the set dress for the environment, this is what we'll be using in the battle board.
Got it. And so this corresponds with the leak that you shared on Discord. This is this board essentially. This is kind of what it would look like with the Illuvials there, just so you guys know. Connect the dots on what you've already seen with the imagery shared on Discord.
Yeah, it's trying to. The other thing is too, I shared work in progress of things like the health bar on the battle board, and like you can see now that I've heavily stripped back the battle board itself to just the board and a slight border around it. Like I said, these are the types of things we have to experiment with, because when you start putting the UI over the game, which is what we've been polishing, and the reason why I've been so unleaky at the moment is because like someone has to go in with Florian and review this stuff and make sure we're happy with what's going to get published. So, you know, I've been trying to make sure that like the UI works well with the battle board, because you're going to be staring at the game from this kind of default view here. Do you have stuff similar to the home screen UI that we're working on intersecting with important information? Like you want to try and remove information from where your deck is. You want to make sure that like on the edges of the board it's darker, where the synergies are, things like that. Like, and we're just in that final process now of just like locking off, and just, you know, just today I've locked off with Mark the final battle board layout. So that's cool. Like we are so close, so close.
Indeed. You know, you're saying you're unleaky. There were still 50 leaks on the leaks channel, so that is a good point. But it's not as leaky as it once was at Illuvium. I agree with the strategy, though, as somebody representing a marketing team here. We need to hold back some ammo so people can pull open PvP, they can experience things, and be wowed when they play the actual game, and not have literally everything spoiled for them. Do you want to go back to what Dimitri was working on, and can you help us understand maybe some of the process that goes into building out like a home screen like you're building? And when we're talking about interoperable assets, basically what you're saying, Grant, is each of these Illuvials, these models that we have here, can be plug and played into a home screen, into other video games, into whatever the heck we want, right?
At any quality too. Now there's a slight workflow difference there, but essentially it's the very same thing. You have a base model, which gets rigged so that you can pose them. Then you have textures over the top of that. Those textures get plugged into shaders, and then those shaded models plugged into the rendering engine, where, you know, Dimitri's going to be showcasing how to make these look good. Right now, if you take a look at my screen, right, the battle board I was just zooming around in Unreal Engine, Dimitri's exported this section of the map directly from Unreal Engine. So we've got the exact same wireframe as in Unreal, same poly count for all the high-res assets in the game. And then we use this as a foundation for building out the scene. We bring in a camera into 3ds Max and basically start getting going with positioning and bringing in the characters in a similar way. Dimitri's been setting up these characters as NFTs, which are, once again, the game assets. And if you let me click on one of the characters here.
Got it. So you're not just creating something kind of from scratch or like some bespoke marketing asset on the homepage. It's not some title art you're kind of whipping up out of nowhere. This is literally in-game assets.
Yep.
Assets that can be used across Illuvium games across the board. This is kind of like what you're seeing is more real, let's call it, than a lot of what key art would be generated with game studios.
This is the exact same game asset as is in Unreal, except we add displacement over the top of it. And there's the really cool thing about doing this without making a different mesh for the high res in V-Ray and using the exact same mesh is that all the textures translate, which we also made higher resolution than necessary to future-proof ourselves.
I see.
But the thing with displacement is eventually Unreal Engine is going to be able to handle at a high frame rate displacement in game. So like if you take a look at Max here, you start with like a really, like everyone knows that in game assets are quite low poly, and you can see, like the faceting on the geometry of things. But then in Max, we don't have that same issue. So we smooth it, increasing the detail, but then over the top of that, add the displacement maps, which give you all of that sculpted detail. Now in Unreal Engine, you're using textures to represent this detail, like normal maps. But if I go into Unreal Engine now, and I go and find the, let me go, combat units, Illuvials. How do I, let me change back to Unreal here.
Yeah, no problem. You know, there was a question here, just to add more scope to your work, Dimitri, which I know is something that you really enjoy. Let me know when you want me to pull your screen back up, Grant. But there was a question here in chat. Will these be animated? Dimitri, you haven't been doing any animations and you haven't been doing any NFTs recently, so you're probably nice and fresh. Will these be animated? Will they be glowing? Will they be breathing? Like, what's the deal, Dimitri?
You're talking about the home screen, do you?
We're talking about the home screen. Yeah. Can we increase the scope of your work right here during the stream? Come on, audience, let's do it.
Why not? Yeah, right?
It's definitely possible, but it's a lot of work to make something go from being a still image looking good. Like when we're not trying to devote the same amount of time to this as we would if it was an open beta release, right? It's still we're just trying to polish the UI up, and those are the types of things that 100% possible and I think are necessary to create the most immersive experience. But right now we're just doing a big upgrade from what we had prior. So, all right, back in Unreal Engine, you see like the drop bear there that Dimitri has set up. Inside of Unreal Engine, we can drag in all of these assets. And so like, I go to the stage 3, drag the stage 3 drop bear in, which is what we are using in V-Ray. Okay, cool. Here you go. You can see. Can you get the low poly up in max, and then Andrew can swap between them, and then we can just, so if you go to the wireframe here of the mesh, you see the same exact geometry inside of Unreal Engine. And then if you swap,
okay, so that's Unreal Engine from Grant's screen share, and then this is the low poly you were referring to. This is Dimitri's screen.
Yep.
Got it.
Exact same asset.
Same asset. Got it. So this is part of what you were telling me on a previous episode of Showcase, getting even getting all of these models cleaned up, if you will, so that they can be used in multiple applications in the future, and you don't have to go back and rework the same asset over and over again.
If we were, let's just say there's another bull run. Let's just say the game is well received. And let's just say, we're still alive. There's no way.
Hopefully at least one out of those 3 things happens, but...
Hopefully, it's going to take all of those 3 things together to happen. But we've always wanted to turn this lore that hasn't been leaked into a story. And that's like... fundamentally, one of the main reasons why we're going to all this length is because the lore is really good that we haven't shared. I feel like what Aaron and the writers have done is build out a universe that is capable of a TV series, a movie, and these characters are worthy of that similar Pokemon vibe where you can go in and learn the characters' personality types. And so why are we going to this length? It's not just to make some still images or an auto battler, if you get what I mean. Like, it's got to be a reason for it. And now you're seeing some of the final renders for the artwork. And even now I'm starting to adjust to not saying the NFT term anymore. It's just artwork for the game.
Makes sense. Yeah, I was just showing some of these off. I was just to illustrate the point that you were having just a moment ago. That's great. So help me understand. With this home screen, how do you get to a point where the 2 of you, perfectionists, let's be honest, self-admitted perfectionists, will be satisfied with whatever this home screen is? At what point is it good enough?
When it looks as good as the NFT render, right? The idea is that just because we built those NFTs. And this is another reason we're kind of like front loading all the work. When you set up those NFT scenes that you were just sharing, the artwork on loop.
These right here?
Yeah, when you set up this, you're doing everything flawlessly, right? This is to a cinematic quality. We're taking that asset, which is the game asset, but prepped for V-Ray, into the artwork that we're generating for the home screen. Now, if you go to Dimitri's stream, he can load up one of the materials for these. Like if you bring up the koala, you know, you can see.
Is materials is not.
Maybe I can. One sec, because I'm not using the.
For some reason, material editor doesn't show up.
Really?
Yeah. Frame buffer is, but material editor is not.
That's okay. I can distract everyone with this.
No, it is showing on mine.
Oh, it is. Okay, let's go ahead and show yours.
Okay. So, like we have a material here that is a lot more complex than the Unreal Engine shader. I mean, maybe it depends how you look at it, I guess. But like, we're using all the high res. You know, this material is broken up into different layers. You have like the base material, which has all of the textures loaded in from Unreal Engine. So, like in the the subsurface scattering color, this will be the same texture. This would be a great way to really showcase this stuff. Okay, you guys can, okay, there you go. Okay, so you can see this texture loaded here, right? This is the diffuse albedo texture. For like, this gives it the fundamental coloring detail on the surface. And if I swap to material, there you can see inside of Max. So that texture gets unwrapped onto the object. Now, if I stop sharing and I go into Unreal Engine and I show you.
Let me know when you want me to pull up your screen.
Yep, I'm just bringing up the material. Yep, there it is. You can see that, yeah?
Pulling it up.
Yep. This is the material inside of Unreal Engine. And there is that exact same texture loaded up.
I see.
So zero difference in the texture between V-Ray and Unreal. There's no tweaks done. It's all, and this is a testament to being able to work, like having cinematic quality texturing inside of Unreal Engine. The only difference is that inside of Unreal, we're displaying it at 2K, so 2048 pixels, which you can see here, but the underlying texture is 4K, which is cinematic quality, right? Like even a Blur cinematic or a Blizzard cinematic, they won't be using anything more than 4K textures unless it's like a very specific up-close shot of someone's face or something like that.
Got it. So when Dimitri uses these textures to produce our Netflix show and our full-length film by himself, he'll be able to do that 5 years from now because they're 4K.
Yeah. And this applies for everything in the game, right? Everything in the game. Like you said you bring in the materials for the plants, Dimitri?
Yeah.
Whereabouts are because we're doing this live, right? Like 10 minutes before the stream started, Dimitri's uploading me files that he's been converting so that we can do some rendering on the stream and we can show you guys kind of like what we're actually doing here.
I was there. They were sending pictures of plants to each other. This really happens.
Where are the plant assets brought in? Are they on a layer in this scene?
Yes, they are.
Of course they're on a layer of plants.
Well, while you're looking for those, I got other leaks. If you haven't already followed our Discord, you probably have, but if you haven't, there were 50 leaks dropped. Those are basically updates dropped on our Discord server exclusively there. You get to catch them first. I'll show some of those now while you guys are getting this sorted. Let me know when you want me to switch back to your screen share.
Where were the textures for those plants?
It's all in the zip. The archive that I've sent you, they all should have there.
Okay. There's
Man, look
textures
at this
on
one,
the
guys.
actual materials. You set up materials for them in the actual engine.
Yes.
In V-Ray?
Not.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Well, far out.
I don't know.
Jeez, I didn't
Talking
realize.
about.
Oh, come on, man. I didn't realize you went that far.
Audience, do you see this rock right here? Just want to make sure you saw it before I move on. This one's hot. All of these leaks on Discord, go look at them, stare at them, make them your wallpaper on your computer. What are you waiting for?
Okay, let's. All right. So if you jump to my stream, yeah. Oh yeah, you're kind of cutting out leaks. There we go. So I don't even know what's happening anymore. Same asset from Unreal, even for the plants. Now the difference is that you'll notice that inside of 3ds Max here, I don't have displacement on, right? And that's
Try the other one. Try the big one.
Which one? Yeah, the big one does. Okay, so this big one, right? You can see Dimitri has gone in and set up the same displacement map. Let me see if I can.
What's a displacement map for people that basically everyone watching the stream that doesn't know what that is?
A displacement map is a 2D texture that offsets the geometry of a model to create detail. So it's a grayscale texture where white bumps detail out on the surface. So like you can see here on the screen, the texture used for that displacement, let me bring it in here, is this map here. So the white areas tell the engine to push the geometry detail out, and the black tells it to get pushed in.
Got it.
So, you know, this doesn't happen in Unreal Engine. The geometry that the team sculpts on the high-res asset, which we were leaking a year and a half ago, gets baked down into normal maps, which replicate that detail, but don't actually have the detail in it themselves, right? Like the poly geometry. So that's because obviously, like, rendering a really, really high resolution mesh is a lot more computationally intensive than a low poly mesh. And we can get away with that in V-Ray because we don't need to do things real time, right? When we render one of the artworks for the Illuvials, each frame can take an hour on 10 supercomputers versus running real time in Engine at 60 frames per second. But the cool thing is, like I said, eventually Unreal Engine is going to support displacement mapping. And we've front-loaded all the work in the game for every asset so that we can get that detail eventually. So say in 5 years' time, we're still, you know, the ecosystem's still evolving and Unreal Engine gets some major overhauls and the baseline for graphics cards goes up. There's nothing stopping us from going in and just completely overhauling the graphics of Illuvium to incorporate this detail.
That's fantastic. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to put my money on Unreal. I mean, Illuvium's not the only studio that's made that move. You may have seen CD Projekt Red actually dumped their own engine, Red Engine, which created fantastic looking games for Unreal.
But I'm sure there's people in the community are well aware of what happened with Unity recently.
I'm not sure if they are.
Oh, okay.
So can you give everyone the TLDR what happened with Unity?
Yeah, okay. So Unity changed their terms and conditions to effectively charge studios per download of a game installer, right? So like, let's just say we released the Overworld on Unity, right? Every time someone installs it, we would have to pay a set fee for that. And it was every single time. So if someone installed Illuvium, uninstalled it, installed it again, Unity would charge us, the studio, a fee every time. So it's just like completely breakable in the sense that you could mass download and install someone's game just to make them pay fees and like kind of cripple them or troll them. And it was quite honestly one of the most stupid policy changes ever, and there was just a giant backlash in the community. gamers united, the development community united, basically saying like we're done with Unity unless they roll back all these changes. And it was really quite scary because obviously we developed Illuvium 0 on Unity, right? So we were like, you know, I was kind of feeling pretty good because I was like, there's no way they're going to keep these changes. But like one of the issues, and Johnny brought this up, is maybe what they were doing is going too crazy with these policy changes, so that when they roll back, they can keep some of the more smaller TNC changes that still don't, you know, really work well with studios long term.
That's a classic strategy. That's a classic marketing strategy. And then say that you listened. We heard you, customer. We listened to you. And then, you end up sneaking in some pretty insidious monetization models in there. That's a classic trick in the gaming industry. I mean, that's how we got to microtransaction madness in the mobile gaming industry. Oops, did we do that with the DLC? We're so sorry. And it just, every time they do that, we move one step toward what customers don't like. Man, is that a huge mistake.
Well, it was just a massive backlash. It's really quite interesting. If anyone's following along with like the gaming development industry, go check it out on YouTube. Just search it. Just search for Unity backlash, you know, and you'll get a pretty good understanding of like what's happening. The lighting in the scene, Dimitri, I've noticed it's gone really dark.
Yeah, the lighting got a change, man. The lighting, because now the plants and the Illuvials shaders all calibrated. In the previous episode, we didn't do any of those.
Are all the lights off here?
Yeah.
They're referring to this. They're talking about plants, everyone. Digital plants.
You got to understand that we are doing this real time. This isn't like some... let's pre-plan everything. And
everybody gets it. You know, really quick, I had a question about this one right here, guys, while we're on it. This is one leak. This 99 insane hollow frame here. What do we have to do to get this clearly best frame ever? Like, do we have to be #1 global ranked here? Like, what is this one require?
Just an update on the ranking system in the game. So we've solidified what the final ranks will be. So it'll be iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, hollow, dark hollow, and then potentially a custom frame for promotional stuff.
I see.
Or, you know, the other cool thing is, if you guys remember and I'm just kind of going off on a tangent here, I will get to the 99 question. Remember the balancer sale that we did, and there were the emotes with it's going to be, you won't be able to bring this up, but the earliest NFTs we did, and it was like, what are these going to be used for? Roger and I were discussing how to effectively use those by like turning, because those balancer sale emotes were, you know, like a bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond emote with the obelisk on it. And the artwork wasn't great. It was something that Roger had to like rush out, you know, days before the sale. We had so much to do. But I was thinking of turning those into rank badges. And, you know, we have to go through the council to approve all of this. But that'd be a really cool way to get custom rank badges for players.
Man, that would be so cool. If you were there that early, rewarding those people with that would be a really nice pat on the back for those people that believed that early in this. I mean, Illuvium was a nothing burger at that point. So that's cool.
But each one of these ranks, so you go from iron, like I said, iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, hollow, dark hollow, and then something after that. They fall into ELO categories, which represent, similar to chess ELO, you know, how you stack up against the general community. And there's kind of like a bonding curve where there's more people in the middle ranks than there are at the very start and end. But each one of those rank badges you'll see has the 3 wings on it, and then you'll go through each rank progressing, adding wings to your rank. So say if you're, you know, Iron 1, you'll only have one of those. And I didn't leak. We're working on those right now, getting those high res rendered and implemented, and soon to be. I don't think ranks will be in this beta release, but obviously for open beta they'll be there. So the idea being that, like, as you rank up, you get those wings, and then when you go to a higher rank, you go back down to having the one wing on the rank, and you get that motivation to kind of build your rank again, but with a new material attached. And then every so often when your rank increases, you get a totally new badge shape as well.
That's great. Yeah, similar to what you may see as like stars or in like other systems. This is more aesthetic, and it's actually baked into the frame itself, which is a smarter design choice. Awesome. Did you guys want to revisit the plants? I know there are comments in chat saying plants, not rocks. What does the world come to, guys?
There's a lot of rocks in this scene too.
Thank God. Thank God.
The rocks are all from Unreal Engine 2. You know, these are the rock assets, and these also can be followed with that same pipeline, right? But so Sean, who's just, this is where, you know, we give a shout out to Sean, who is the unsung hero of the entire Illuvium game, because he acts as the bridge between Unreal and every other possible use case for these assets. He's making sure that every single asset's textures are properly baked, zero issues with them, and are clean and calibrated as well. You know, one thing is to just have textures, the other thing is to have them set up in a way that's going to render correctly both in Unreal and inside of V-Ray, right? And that is how we're able to get away with utilizing the exact same texture like I shared earlier in Unreal as V-Ray, right? We don't make changes to these. For the NFTs, sometimes there are slight, like Dimitri may be able to tell you, very slight tweaks to the hue of the map, but there's no manual work repainting any of this, right? And that is just something I didn't even think was possible, right? I thought, okay, cool, we're going to be able to take the assets from Unreal and maybe make a couple of minuscule changes. We haven't had to do that. Dimitri's workflow literally is using the exact same textures. You know, it was just crazy. Are you able to show the characters rendering? Have you done any lighting? I know we've...
No, I haven't.
Just drag a light into the scene and we can show them.
Yeah, give me a sec.
No problem. While you're doing that, I will show more leaks. Look at these beautiful guys. These beautiful, beautiful works of art. So this was this is what you guys see in the thumbnail. It's that scene they're working on for the homepage.
Yeah, this is where we got to with the previous lighting. But that lighting, it's just a mock-up, right? Like that stream was a 2-hour stream to go from absolutely nothing except the mock-up that Florian made with us on a call to having these assets in. And we were asking the community, what type of characters do you want to see? Someone suggested using the Doka, and we actually agreed. Like, we thought that we would swap out the links with the Doka. You know, I feel like the Doka is one of those characters we have in our universe, which is super iconic, and probably, you know, it's a lot more iconic than the Lynx. You know, the Lynx looks cool, but yeah. So
I was curious, what is this exactly?
Components. So,
it's a component. Okay.
Yeah, and Cantomir literally, while this call's been going on, has been updating me on all of this stuff. So I've done a couple of live streams on the CC streaming channel in Discord, like showing some of this stuff. But these are all, like, when you craft an item in the game, like a weapon or a drone component, to get to a higher tiered item, you have to deconstruct something that you've already built, right? So if you've got a tier 4 component and you want to get to a tier 5 item, right? If you've got a tier 4 drone component and you want to get to a tier 5 one, you've got to deconstruct that tier 4 one, and that bakes down into, or like deconstructs down into one of these, and there's 6 different types in the game. You know, we have like weapon components, drone components, augment components, etc.
Got it. Thank you for that context. Appreciate it.
What you're sharing there are the rank badges that are work in progress for PvP. So we have Ascendant, Arena, you know, we have Survival, and we have Leviathan. And so you shared an update earlier. You know, and these are not super polished and final, because this is something I would prefer to like see in the game and then know if it's sitting well, right? Like you can, like a logo for our arena may look good now, and then you come back with fresh eyes a month later and go, okay, it can probably be changed, or we can do things differently.
I like this comment that Graco is body positive friendly. This is good. I agree with that. Some more beautiful rocks for everybody. It's not really a rock.
Outdated now.
Outdated, right?
Yeah, outdated.
We're just gonna go through some outdated rocks. Let me know what you want when you want me to cut back to your screen share, and we can take a look through some more live demo. I'm just showing off League's buying time.
Shards.
Woo.
Oh, cool. Okay, now I can stop doing stuff.
Yeah, so what button did you press, Dimitri, to make it suddenly look good? So you're just applying textures essentially on top of the Illuvials, so they're not just some...
Almost, yeah. There's some magic battle.
Old ones,
but like
okay.
this is just the test HRI that I've been using to calibrate all of the Illuvials, and now they sitting all together. You know, like there's no, like usually when we've been doing before in a print, like you do it just for one instance and that's it, and doesn't work on the once you change the camera or once you change the lighting even slightly. In most cases, it starts to break, but like within this new workflow that we developed, like at Illuvium, every single character, no matter what the lighting is, every stuff is calibrated. And what I've been doing in the morning is getting some of those plants in just to see in the same lighting, just to make sure everything will work correctly. But now that like I've got them all, I can start placing them all together, and just they might need slight adjustments, but not as dramatic as we used to do before.
Just to give some context there, what Dimitri means is, in the real world, if I'm a photographer and I want to take a photo of a rock, no matter where I bring that rock, if it's to a studio lighting setup or out in the middle of the daytime or at nighttime, the rock is the rock. It's always the same. Whereas in the digital space, that rock has to be represented with geometry and textures. Now, depending on how bright those textures are or the properties of the shader that you've created digitally, can determine how it looks separate from the lighting. For example, in the middle of a day scene, right? How do I know in the digital space that I have to increase the brightness of the sun versus increase the brightness of the texture? And so you have to calibrate that in a lighting rig, which is neutral. And we do that in a overcast day, a studio lighting, and in a sun, right? And we make that asset look good in all three of those different lighting scenarios, both in V-Ray and in Unreal Engine, which is where Mark comes into this process, doing the color calibration and the ACES workflow. Because if you bring up the frame buffer, Dimitri, and show the settings in the frame buffer, this is... Sorry?
Over there?
Yeah, it's getting cut off screen. You got to move
sorry.
it. Yeah, there you go. So these are the color calibration settings inside of the V-Ray frame buffer. And we've got... You don't need to worry about the technicalities of this, but we have the ACES CG color profile loaded into the frame buffer, which is that increased larger gamut, which gives you the ability to render out brighter colors and more saturated colors without it clipping and going fluoro red, say on the bright red highlights. We do the same thing inside of E-Ray. You can see the difference there, right?
Got it. There are requests in chat for Drop Bear slasher skins and or Halloween skins. Dimitri, make this happen, yes?
yeah, whatever. Yes,
bring
it on.
Koala. That's looking cool.
I mean, he's pretty much got a Halloween skin on all the time anyway. I think the fun Halloween skin would make him less scary, as opposed to more scary. But yeah, great idea from the community. You know, one thing that you guys brought up earlier before we went live as an idea is maybe asking chat maybe which Illuvials they'd want to see in the home screen, or what feedback was it that you wanted related to home screen from the audience today?
Well, we're not 100% certain on Scoriox in the background, the snake in the background. We had some ideas of potentially swapping that out with Seer. We wanted to, on the showcase, just do some lighting and show how you can make these characters start to look good through the lighting process. Because what we're showing you right now is pretty raw without any work done on that. So getting a mock-up to work with a grayscale shader like you saw in the thumbnail for this episode is very different from when they're all textured. There's a lot more work involved in that. But until you can't make that decision on which Illuvial is going to look good until you kind of see it with correct shaders. But one of the members in our Discord mentioned to potentially do Seer in the background, but we're open to ideas. Yeah. Any
ideas? Obviously, Scoriox, if you're not familiar with him, he's a content creator in our community. Wants Scoriox in the background. There's definitely some emotional damage here that's being caused. Why'd you do this to him live? He's a super fan of this one Illuvial. He's been supporting us for all these years. Any other suggestions? No. Scoriox wants to come in and yell at you guys. I will not share the link with you for you to get in here and yell at them. Any other suggestions on other Illuvials that you guys think would be interesting? Open to ideas. They are literally reading your chat right now. You could make a decision right now during the stream that impacts the home screen for everyone that plays Illuvium games. Here we go. Poodle Moth suggestion.
While they're raging at us about being refunded and stuff, I'm not sure exactly that's a troll.
All right, Poodle Moth suggestion. I like that. How about Seer in full magma powered glory? Got a suggestion for Blazonite. two votes per Poodle Moth.
Where are you doing the voting for this?
It's not really a vote. It's just 2 comments for Poodle Moth. I'm just pulling them up.
Right. There's no way to do any kind of voting mechanism?
I don't have that ready, unfortunately, for this.
No stress.
There's one suggestion to have Dick Kings, our community manager, on the home screen. This is good. Thank you so much for that. Multiple Squiz votes. So the question is, could Squiz be over the shoulder there behind Drop Bear? I doubt Squiz, unless you blew up Squiz to wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man size. That would not be happening.
No one brought up Mephisto,
in the context. The idea of this team comp was that it was a fire team comp, which I did mention this in the Discord server as well, but it ties into how players are going to be playing this beta. And it also in the future with the rankings. So you can see Dimitri's updating.
Yeah, Seer is a good suggestion. I think that actually was a pretty solid suggestion.
But in this beta, right, I think what's going to happen is most people are going to be building teams that are affinity based and not thinking long term. Whereas in the future, when the ranking system is implemented, I spoke to Aaron about this. I was like, so what do we do? How do you prevent someone just stacking a fire team coming up against someone who has a water team? And he's like, but if you're at a higher rank, that team composition won't work, right? Because you're going to be versing a whole range of players. And if you only have teams built with one affinity in mind, you might win that one game, but you're not going to win the vast majority. So over time, team compositions are going to kind of become more balanced, is the word. And you'll get some water characters, some fire characters, and you'll have to adapt. So you won't. But for this beta, we don't have the ranking system implemented yet. So
makes sense.
Get very extreme team comps that people just want to win one battle and then get annihilated in the next. So we're showing a kind of newbie team comp in the home screen art.
Yeah, the term for that.
Balance.
The term for that, this always happens in early stages of games or beta. So I was an early beta tester in StarCraft, and the term is cheesing. So it's a cheese strategy. So basically you cheese with one strategy. Like in RTS games, it's like tower rushing people, building defensive towers in the middle of their town at the beginning of the game and cheesing them, or going all one unit. So that stuff is so fun when you're beta testing something or in the early phases of a game. Illuvium's gonna experience it too. And for those of you that want to cheese Illuvium early, do it, because as soon as, like Grant says, the ranking system gets implemented, the cheese ends up going toward the bottom of the ladder. You can be in like bronze, silver range, and then the real strategies go toward the top, right? But cheese is fun, especially if you're matchmaking with your buddies and you just want to do the dumbest and most hilarious strategies possible. Sure, do it for the lulz, but you can't do it for the ladders.
Now, Dimitri, maybe I can help you out with the lighting here.
Yep.
Are you able to take that hero light, and maybe I could dive into explaining how some of these types of things are created, like from a photography perspective? So inside of the scene, you have, we're lighting this.
Are we pulling up your screen right now, amigo?
Dimitri's screen.
Dimitri, you got it.
Yeah, I'll run through. So right now, Dimitri is working with, are you able to move your 3ds Max to the left so you can get the work on that while the frame buffer is centering the screen? Does that work?
Yeah, let me try that out.
Sorry, guys, I'm just.
So I may need to.
Okay, so if you move.
While you're working that out, I'll make everyone look at this beautiful card art and let me know when I should cut back.
I love how good Andrew is at just segueing into stuff.
Well, this is my favorite Illuvial, by the way. We just made the Illuvial preview. God, I love this Illuvial. People say too simple. I'm like, shut up. Do you see this Illuvial? It's a freaking work of art.
We have to have variation. If every single thing, every Illuvial, every asset is super hyper detailed, nothing stands out from each other. You need simple Illuvials to make the super detailed ones pop a little bit more, and vice versa, right? Like, it's just the way it is with art. Like, it comes down to balance. Some characters are in the middle. Some characters are super simple. Some characters are hyper detailed. Those were conscious decisions we made in the creation process at the very start. When Roger and Aaron, Kieran, and the rest of the team were ideating some of these characters. Then I would go in and ask the question, how will those characters sit together as a whole, so that when we eventually render out some giga 50,000 pixel wide super artwork that we do as giveaways for the prints on the side of buildings, they all work together. And like, okay, very simple in comparison to some other characters.
Right.
It just pops, right? It's not low detailed, but it's more simple. It's cleaner, right? Now we could have just said, screw it. Let's just give him 500 spikes and, 50 claws, like terrible analogy there. It's very early.
I understand what you're saying though. Now, Grant, I think your ego's too big and you should take the advice of random people on Twitter that have never designed anything.
It's not that. Sometimes the community gives really good advice.
I know. I'm trolling back. I'm trolling back.
I know you're trolling. But like the comments like, he's too simple. You've got to look at it from the bigger picture. But we do appreciate, like, I hope the community does realize that, like, when we're doing stuff like this, and especially on calls and when we're making major decisions, we do bring up in those conversations, like, what is the community going to like? Like, the community we have at Illuvium, especially the diehard fans in our Discord who've remained positive through all of this. I can speak for myself a little bit more clearly, but like, say I'm in 3ds Max doing a CC stream, right? The reason why I like doing that in CC streaming is because I care about those people's opinions, right? I want those people to play our game and be happy. Like, I truly do. Like, it's like similar to when I used to do live streams for tutorial content with V-Ray. I wanted those people. I had a huge amount of respect for those people, trusting what I was doing. I wanted them to get better at V-Ray and get better at 3ds Max. You know, Dimitri is one of those people, right? Dimitri, I know through my old tutorial business, and Dimitri showed the most interest out of anyone, and so I put the most interest back into him. And we have members of our community who are doing the same thing. Like, we want those community members to be happy, and the community we have, I feel like, is worth the time and effort we've put into this game. It's similar to, like, who cares if no one's going to play your game, right? Like, who cares? And if everyone was super negative and toxic and just giving a shit all the time, we also wouldn't. I mean, no one's going to be happy doing anything for those type of people. But, you know, you got people like, I love how Jim Barino jumps into the chat as he wants a mention. You know he does. But yeah, exactly. Like, you know, we've had a huge amount of positivity from the community, regardless of all the negative stuff that's happened and our own shortcomings with delays and stuff like that. Like, the community deserves a good game here and a good experience. And like, we like doing showcases because you guys are in the chat talking about this stuff, and you know, it'd be super boring without that.
It always feels great.
That's awesome. So basically, getting feedback from gamers, customers, community members, whatever it may be, is a part of your plan. But taking random comments from random trolls on Twitter, probably not a good idea. Check. Understood.
Probably not a good idea, but once again, even trolls have said stuff where, you know, I'll be talking with my brothers or something like that, and we'll be like, it's not lying, right? Like, just because you're a troll and being super toxic and negative doesn't mean they're not right. Is it necessary in the grand scheme of things to be that toxic when we've proven, I think, time and time again, that we're not delusional people who are like immune to negativity and feedback? But like, sometimes trolls get it right as well, and they sometimes hit it a lot harder than our community does. There's been times where the community sentiment has been more positive than as the studio we've been, you know, where we're like saying, no, this is not good enough, it's crap, and the community's going, I like it. So it is, we have to prepare ourselves for like this beta coming out. Anyone, and this is my hope, right? Like, my girlfriend asked me the other day, like, so what do you hope to get out of this release? Anyone can download this release, right? Anyone can play this, and that means in Web 2 as well. So someone coming from traditional gaming, I would hope this release has some capability to go viral, even in a small capacity, as in that someone who's not involved in crypto sees what we're doing, and that spreads to a group of gamers who were typically hateful of what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, I do feel like Illuvium is separated from the pack, from the rest of the stuff that gave this industry a bad name. Maybe we're not completely immune to it and ever will be, but I just feel like when you know the ins and outs of what we're doing and like what we're trying to achieve by just making a good game, that, you know, there's got to, like, I would love that. I would love for there to be some content creator or someone that just goes, maybe this industry isn't all bad, you know, just give us that glimmer of hope that we can pull this off and go mainstream.
Dude, thank you so much for that. That was from the heart right there. How many of you guys out there know someone who's an executive or a leader in a major game company like EA and what have you, and they actually know gamers and people in the community like on a first name basis and actually talk with them? I think the answer is 0 of them. So that's part of what separates Illuvium and makes it different. The same, even within Web3, I think you'd see examples where that connection isn't there on that level as well. So thanks for sharing that, Grant. Now, I know you guys told me ahead of time you wanted to keep the showcase around an hour or so. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to share with screen shares and demos today? I've shared all the leaks from Discord.
Yeah,
let me know.
Let's just do 10 minutes. I just want to do some one-on-one. This is the type of stuff Dimitri and I would do on a call, because we haven't really had a chance on this stream to get the characters popping and looking.
Sure thing, no problem.
If you bring Frank, that's what I was trying to get before. So like, we do some. This is where Dimitri and I go back and forth, and you know, Dimitri's specialty at the moment is the characters. Mine would be, you know, set dressing, the environments and stuff like that. But when you bring in the high-res textured versions of these characters, the lighting has to change. And the biggest thing for creating any high-quality print artwork is that it pops off the screen. Someone needs to be able to look at it and instantly perceive all the characters separated from each other, knowing where things are on the screen. And you have to have a clear focus as to like what you're trying to do. And we're trying to bring attention to the Illuvials and make the background sit in. So we have a hero light, and I would go even brighter on that, man. If you zoom in on their face, that hero light, I would try and get really popping a little bit more, bring some of the detail out.
So when you guys are collaborating on this, you guys are like sitting on a call together and you're like, you know, over the shoulder working on things together like this. Is that right?
We used to do this a lot more. These days, Dimitri knows all of this stuff anyway, so I'll give him some minor feedbacks. I'll increase the brightness of this rim light here, or maybe try and change the color or hue of this light to offset the texture on the surface a little bit better. But ultimately now, Dimitri, I would say, is the best character lighting and shading artist in the world. So like, it's only so much feedback you can give. But now, like, you see, like, you've got this is our hero light in the scene. This is
even Michael Jordan had a coach. Okay, it's okay.
So now you've got the hero light popping off like the sides of their faces, but you don't have something separating them off the background. So that's where you add like a rim light in.
So let me just make a region window.
And that rim light is, so we're not lighting this in the same way like Unreal Engine is, because obviously this lighting only works from this exact camera angle and perspective. Same as on any photo shoot with a photographer, right? If you change the camera angle at all, someone has to go in and adjust lighting if you're doing studio lighting.
That is absolutely true. Can validate.
This scene with the exact same principles as the artwork that we use for in-game, right? The NFT artwork. And you have a hero light, a fill light, and a rim light, and then maybe a couple of others to just highlight certain details. But like you can see, bringing in that rim light, now the back of the koala is starting to pop off from
we're getting some highlights.
Getting some highlights behind the characters, which
I see. Behind the koala's ears you're referring to, it's separating the koala from the characters behind it, providing more depth to the shot. Is that what you mean by that?
Yes. Make that light bigger so that you're catching a little bit more.
So earlier they answered the question about it being animated. Right now, for this upcoming PvP home screen, it's going to be still in the future animated. Sure, why not? We don't want to kill Dimitri, though. Look at this man. I mean, seriously, look at this man. You don't want to do it to him.
Skyrock, shut the hell up. I'm going to remove that character.
Everybody's like, will it be animated? That's the thing. Like, everybody expects everything we do to be like, now that they've seen these characters animated as gorgeous NFTs, they're like, well, they're all going to be moving around with VFX here too, aren't they?
That's totally doable.
Yeah. It is.
Alex our lead, or our head animator, is away at the moment. He's on holiday. So these types of questions we will do for open beta. You will have an animated home screen. How about that? But for this beta, still images only.
Oh, there's a promise live on the air. Hopefully he can keep it.
It's better than a T-Rex roar, I tell you that.
Oh boy, all of our T-Rex roars. Embarrassing.
I still hate TSG. I still give him shit for that.
It's okay. You can't erase these things off the internet. They're a part of your legacy now.
So why, how come the links isn't being hit by that light? What's going on?
Yeah, the links, I think I need to tweak the
materials. Have the top coat on the material?
So audience, you see the amount of detail and care that goes into even a home screen. This isn't just like they plug some characters into Photoshop, do a quick background removal, and crank up the saturation. There's a lot more involved.
I see in the chat there's a lot of people saying, are we going to do a PvP leak or anything like that? Full context here. Right now, we are planning how to film a PvP leak, right? Before we release this beta, we want to get people hyped, and that is what's happening right now while we're doing this stream. As the team is getting things ready to start recording, and we will share a video very shortly. Right? I can't tell you exactly when, because it comes down to certain little details that something may happen. It's game dev, but that is the plan right now. Get people preview of PvP. I could do it right now. I could load up a game with Dimitri and we could do it right now. It wouldn't be the same as if we just planned it a little bit better. So it's coming. If the community's not hyped and they can't tell that something big is coming very, very shortly, then I don't know. You haven't been around for very long.
Agreed. I've got more videos planned for capture and showing video of PvP than any other release we've ever done. I think I literally have double the number of videos planned to share with everyone because this is such a big deal. So what Grant is saying is absolutely true. It's not just going to be coming from the leaks front, from the marketing front as well. But we aren't sharing those videos yet because we want to make sure that we do it right.
If you've been able to wait for showcases every month, trust me, you can wait, because we're very, very, very close. Very close. This is where I used back in the bull run days, when everyone was going loopy, I would say people need to get up out of their chair, and freak out. I'm not going to do that just yet, but as soon as that release is imminent, I will be hyping people up.
Perfect. Scream into your computer screen about this product. It sells product.
So that rim light.
I also wish I was as ripped as that koala. I'm with you.
You can see Dimitri just moving around a random point light in the scene that's catching the highlights, which is kind of difficult to see. You're rendering it not at full res there, yeah?
No.
Can you go full res and just show the detail on the fur and stuff like that? Just enable a couple of lights and just don't crop it, which is scary. Could crash live on stream.
Let me just save it first.
1,000 roars equals PvP link.
Yeah, just look how out of place Scoriox is back there. I think we should take Scoriox out of the game entirely. Scoriox in chat, what do you think about that?
I think we should take Scoriox out of real life as well.
Whoa. Look at this. This is the face of a serial killer.
That's how it starts. Okay.
Yeah, this showcase will show up in the courtroom as Exhibit A.
God. Who knows? Some of the DMs I get from him. Just never say never.
No, I like Scoriox. My son would be very upset. He really likes Scoriox. Whenever I play, he likes to sit with me. He tells me to pull out he wants me to use the fire shooting one.
All right. So if you zoom in on bring the frame up to full screen there. We're getting there, right? And the one thing that doesn't translate from Unreal right now is the fur, right? The fur is impossible to render in Unreal real time, even though there was a period where we were trying, but it's just not there yet, and it definitely won't run on low spec systems, and there were bugs that were causing...
Your voice is much lower volume right now, Grant. I don't know if it's your mic or something.
Speaking over the mic now, so hopefully
there you go.
Better.
By the way, you sufficiently broke Scoriox's heart, so good job. But please continue.
That's okay. That's okay. What was I saying? Yeah, the fur doesn't translate the one-to-one. Fur is one of those things where it goes from one way into Unreal using a workflow, but doesn't come back out, right? As in, like, we take the high-res fur and make it work on low-res hair geometry in Unreal, but that low-res hair geometry doesn't work in V-Ray, so we go back to using what was originally intended. But either way, in this workflow, no data is lost. And you can see now, like, as it's rendering, it's not real time, it's much, much slower. Dimitri's literally using his cursor to pinpoint where certain things get anti-aliased. It goes...
Wow, that's crazy.
Noisy.
And I assume your computer, Dimitri, like if it's going this slow, I assume your computer, Dimitri, is like got a small nuclear reactor in it and like RTX, 70, 90s or something.
Well, we didn't skimp out on hardware, put it that way. Spared no expense, but this is why.
It's getting too hot, man. Getting too hot. Well, it's rendering. The aircon is on the lowest temperature possible.
But maybe we should wrap it up here. The cool thing is I'm quite hyped at the moment. Dimitri's quite hyped. I'm going to be doing a couple more CC streams this week. I'll let people know in the Leaks channel when I'm going live with that stuff if you want to continue. Because in those streams, I've got the mic on. I'm answering questions from people live. It's a little bit more personal, and I just like doing that once again, just because it's just fun to hang around with some of the community members and just talk about what's going on. So feel free to continue watching us in there. Maybe I'll do one later today, depending on if I can get back to sleep or not. But we're so close, and this is going to be the biggest release we've done, not just with PvP also, but there's a lot of environment stuff that's happened and polished that's gone into the environment. And the other cool thing behind closed doors, I haven't been able to leak everything, but we are working on getting Illuvials in the Overworld. That isn't something that we're saying is like 3 years ago it was, but now we are literally working on getting Illuvials into the Overworld. And I've just been prevented from sharing leaks on that because we want that. That was the biggest feedback the community had for Overworld. So if I go leaking that, it may dilute some of the hype surrounded by that. So like, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in the ecosystem we're working on.
Thank you so much, guys. This was a fantastic stream. Thank you for sharing the in-progress stuff. I like doing these. I like actually showing the behind the scenes and not just showing, images and videos. So I appreciate you making the suggestion to mix things up. Dimitri, you're amazing. Please animate the home screen. Grant, you're incredible. Please don't kill anyone. Thanks for joining me again. It was a fun show.
Except Scoriox.
Beautiful. I'm going to boot these guys out, and we're going to wrap up this showcase. Follow on Discord to catch those leaks live. Who knows? Grant might slip up and say something he wasn't supposed to. So be there and watch every time he goes live. See you guys. All right, my name's Andrew, host and executive producer at Illuvium. I'm going to crank up the music, and we're going to end this stream. We appreciate all of your support. We appreciate everybody who's here right now. We know you're the real deal. We know you're the real fans, and you actually care, and you're here for the right reasons. So thank you on the behalf of everybody in the Illuvium team. Adios, everybody.